Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Snap Judgments. This is Randy. So last minute schedule change. I had TJ Wangert scheduled for today. Unfortunately, he had a conflict, and we're rescheduling for Monday. We're actually going to pre-record that episode on Sunday. Um, so I am impromptu solo today. Actually, almost canceled the show today. Today, side note, personal note, my least favorite day of the year. It's my youngest son's birthday. Um, as folks who know me know, he lives with his mom in West Virginia. I haven't been able to see him in a long time. She just cut off communication because I wouldn't talk to her. Um, so happy birthday, Lucas. But I figured I would hop on and do a show anyway. So, um, yeah, impromptu on my own. We could talk about some of the comments from Mike Vrabel and Elliot Wolf yesterday at at not at the combine, at the owners' breakfast or owners' meetings. They have the coaches' breakfast, which is a um, kind of tradition that was started like 20-ish years ago um, with Mike Tomlin and who was the reporter? There was a reporter that were just like drinking mimosas or something like that in the morning, hanging out, and then a couple other coaches started joining, and then it just became a thing. Um, and now the media shows up, and it's a whole spectacle and whatnot. And Dale showed up, talked to Mike Vrabel, and he basically said regarding like AJ Brown that they're always trying to improve the roster. He talked partially in the press conference the other day and also yesterday about Kyle Williams and Pop Douglas, which you've got to imagine they've got roles for them going forward, given that he's mentioning them specifically by name in the offseason. Um, there's been reports that they think they're more all set at the wide receiver position. Some people in the building, at very least, than other people do. Um, and some speculation that they might not even take one, in the first 3 rounds. Maybe that's why they're talking to guys like Dejon Stribling, who probably a 4th round projection. What else? He talked about the Travion Henderson thing yesterday, which I talked about yesterday, and he basically said like he wants guys to he loves Travion. He loves the person he is, and he's always about his religious beliefs and so forth. And he wants people to feel free to express themselves, but he also wants people to be educated, and he wants people to be inclusive. And honestly, I kind of took that as like, let's also be inclusive of Travion. Like, he's welcome to his own set of beliefs, and there's no cats are fighting. I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, so I think there was an element of that in there also. Anyway, let me pull up a little mock draft simulator here. You know what? We're going to try and run through 2 rounds. See how that goes here. Let's select all. I'll share this screen out in a minute. I just want to get into the draft first. All right. There's this. That. All right, here we are. I'm using the site just because there's less ads. The guy who runs it's got some issues, but it is what it is. Look, Fernando Mendoza seems to be the consensus number 1 overall pick at this point. Shouldn't need to spend a lot of time on that. The Jets have defensive issues. They have all kinds of issues. Like, if there's a legitimate quarterback here, they'd probably take him. I don't care what Aaron Glenn says about Geno Smith being like the savior that's going to lead them. Kind of funny, but other than that, look, they second in the draft. I think the ideal scenario is they would trade down, right? But who's going to trade up for who? within this simulator, it looks like Jets fans are taking Arvell Reese. And I think I'm going to take Ruben Bain. I don't know about Arvell Reese being an edge player. I think he projects more as an off ball linebacker. He could potentially play the edge, but there's no promise of that. So I don't know. Look, Arizona needs help on the offensive line. I think they've kind of set themselves up in free agency to take offensive line. So let's go with Manoa there. Tennessee Titans. All right. Well, word is that Brian Daboll is in love with Jeremiah Love, and that they've got to get the offense going there, right? They've got to get Cam Ward going. They've got to get the offense. A lot of people had them taking wide receiver here, and that's still definitely a possibility. It seemed to me with the Saints and Chiefs signing running backs that they didn't think he was going to get down there. That was a sign to me that maybe he's going to be gone. So we'll go Jeremiah Love there. The New York Giants here, they need a wide receiver. They don't need a lead guy, though. They have Malik Neighbors. He'll be coming back. But look, I think Carnell Tate works here as a second option, like an elite second option wide receiver. Think like T. Higgins to the Jamar Chase. Different skill sets, obviously, but an elite second option wide receiver that really kind of kickstarts this offense. I think Carnell Tate fits in very well there. I'm going to go with Monroe Freeling here. I started doing this a couple months ago. I still think that the Browns are set up to take a left tackle. I still think Monroe Freeling is the top left tackle available in this draft. And I still think that he makes the most sense here at 6. Washington Commanders desperately need many things. I think Arvell Reese probably works the best here. And I think that's what I did a couple months ago too. I don't, I get that I'm kind of sticking by things. I wish there was a little more change in some of the things I'm thinking here. But I just, man, Arvell Reese fits in so well with Dan Quinn. He projects so well, given what he did with Micah Parsons. That makes a lot of sense to me. So Arvell Reese goes there. Let me pull this camera down so make sure it runs a little better. All right. New Orleans is on the clock, and yeah, you know what? They just lost to Mario Davis, long-term starting linebacker. Sonny Styles, this athletic freak on the board. It's hard not to go with him, but then also you've got the idea of a wide receiver, and they need secondary help. Jermod McCoy just did his pro day, and he ran really well, like a 4.37, 4.38. He jumped fairly well. I think he's going to end up being a top 10 pick. And I think the Saints probably jump on it here. Yeah, you know what? Let's give him Jermod McCoy. That makes sense to me. Kansas City here is faced with a choice. I think they've got the edge rusher, they've got the linebacker, they've got the safety, they've got the cornerback. I mean, they've got 4 top defenders on the board, and all of them kind of fit something they could use. Oh man. But Caleb Downs is going to get pushed down because of positional value, and he's not an athletic freak. He's incredibly smart, very, very high football IQ, and that's kind of what brings his value. But it's just sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes that doesn't transition as well. So, Jesus Christ, dude, what are you guys doing? So as much as I like Caleb Downs, and I do, would you guys? They did just lose 2 corners. They need to rebuild that room. the elite corners in this class, it's a small group, right? It's basically two. And one of them's already off the board. Mansour Delane's sitting there. Yeah, let's just keep him in Louisiana. Oh no, I'm sorry. Not Louisiana. Let's draft him to Kansas City. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. The Bengals are on the clock. Look, they love athletic freaks. They took a linebacker in last year's draft, Demetrius Knight. He wasn't great, obviously, because their defense was terrible. But they also traded a linebacker midseason to Dallas. They've got holes all over the defense. And at the end of the day, look, let's get Sonny Styles in there, okay? Miami's there. Yeah. I think that they just kind of put out that they were the kind of blocks they were building around was A-Chain, their center, and their linebacker, right? Jordan Brooks. Center, I don't remember his name, but he was good last year. It's also kind of been put out there that they're pretty happy with Patrick Paul, who's their left tackle. If that's the case, they've got a left tackle they're happy with, a center they feel like they should build around, a brand new signed quarterback, and a running back that they'd like to see be successful. And a good way to do that is to build up the offensive line in front of him. They took Savaiinaea in the second round last year. And, maybe you're able to flip him over to right guard. Maybe he becomes a backup interior offensive lineman, something like that. But let's give them Vega Ioane here. 11's not too high for him, and he immediately improves that line. Dallas is on the clock here, and look, they could go with an edge rusher. Obviously, they have a need there. And David Bailey's right here on the board. He played at Texas Tech last year. Probably well known to a lot of Texas fans. And then there's Caleb Downs, which, you could argue is the smarter play. This edge class is really deep. And as much as sometimes I do feel like I want to give them Downs because you know what? A lot of times people think Dallas is going to do the flashy thing, but they end up doing the smart thing. And the smart thing there, I think, is to take Caleb Downs and build the defense around that. LA tried trading for a wide receiver this offseason. The three top guys on their board right here are wide receivers. I think that just makes the most sense. Let's keep Mekhi Lemon in LA and bring him to the Rams. Baltimore's on the clock, and Baltimore's consistently benefiting from players falling. And you see me highlighting a player right here. Many people had him like top 5 on their draft charts prior to the beginning of the season. Clemson obviously had some issues, but this guy's super talented, Peter Woods. He can move all around the defensive line. He's solid in the run game. He's a good penetrator in terms of collapsing the pocket from the interior. This is a guy that you want on your defensive line. You put him next to what's that guy's name from UConn? Travis. Whoever their nose tackle is. Let's see, Ravens. DT, Travis Jones. Why do I forget that? Travis Jones. Put him on the inside next to Travis Jones, and I think that's a really good defensive line. We saw how they fell apart last year with Madubuike being out. I think that's a key position that they need to fill. Tampa Bay's on the clock here, and look, David Bailey's fallen right into their lap. They need edge rush help, and I think he makes the most sense here. This is where the David Bailey fall stops. With the Jets on the clock, they need a second option wide receiver. Jordan Tyson makes sense here. He's the sort of guy, these cats, he's the sort of guy that you can kind of afford to take when you have an extra first round pick, a second first round pick. That um, because he's super talented. He's fallen into your lap here at 16. If injuries do waylay all or part of his career, like, yeah, it's sunk cost, but you already have that number 2 overall pick that you already took in Ruben Bain, right? So Jordan Tyson, he makes sense to me here at 16 to the Jets. The Detroit Lions have a pretty clear need on the offensive line. The thing is that they've been kind of moving pieces around, trying to figure out what's going to work, right? And the latest move with Penei Sewell going to left tackle, reportedly, potentially. And then they were trying to figure out their center spot last year. Detroit really had a rough week, too, by the way. I mean, between the commentary from Taylor Decker about kind of how he was treated on the way out, them chasing down Frank Ragnow for a prorated portion of the bonus that, like, some people feel like they're the only team that would. I doubt that. Cincinnati would for fucking sure. And probably a couple other teams would, but it's a bad look overall, is the point. And my point in this is that I think Spencer Fano makes a lot of sense here. You get a guy who can range from right tackle to guard to potentially center, and you're really able to get your best 5 on the field here. So let's go with Spencer Fano, 17 to the Lions. Look, this is the no-brainer pick for this team, Dylan Thieneman, to fill in right there. I would love for him to fall to 31 to the Patriots just because dream pick for me. Okay, dream pick. Safety 3 for a year behind Byard, steps right on up, plays alongside Woodson, holding down the safety room for the next decade here in New England. I would absolutely love that. But Thieneman is going to go to Minnesota here. Just the pick that just makes sense. Okay, that's just all it is. Carolina is a place that I have mocked Kenyon Sadiq to before. I just think you continue throwing weapons and help at Jesus Christ, guys. Seriously, can we stop? You guys are a lot. Yeah, you're the troublemaker right now. Yeah, don't look at me innocently like you're cute. Yeah, there you go. Get your hat. All right. Anyway, yeah, Kenyon Sadiq, he's going to be the guy here. You continue to give Bryce Young all the tools he could possibly need, so there are no excuses. Either you succeed or it just doesn't work out here. All right. Dallas is on the clock. We look earlier. Dallas took Caleb Downs to fill out that secondary. I am really, come on. Took Caleb Downs to fill out that secondary. Look, I think Keldrick Falk makes some sense here. Just developmental, gives you that run stopping ability, but also has a lot in front of him. I could also see Akeem Mesidor. This is a team that wants to be in contention now as well as in the future. So I could see either one of those guys making sense. Avion Terrell would make sense if we hadn't taken Caleb Downs already. But we did. Calm down. Both of you two. Getting too big for that. We're going to go Keldrick Falk here. Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. And look, Steelers fans continue to not like this, and I continue to not care. I think they're going to take a quarterback here. I think they're going to take a quarterback at some point here in this draft. And, man. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to give Drew Aller. I'm sorry, guys. I like Drew Aller for you guys. I really do. I understand that folks think maybe he's not a first-round pick. I think if you like a quarterback, you take him where you take him. And Pittsburgh Proctor. See, I don't know, man. I could see that too. I gave Pittsburgh Aller last time. And yeah, let's change it up. Yeah, I don't know, man. What Pittsburgh hasn't had really great luck with the tackles, but they need the tackles. Proctor can kind of slide in a couple different places, and they let that one guard go, Suamalo. Yeah, you're right. This frustrates me because I really do want to take one of those wide receivers too for them, and a quarterback for that matter. All right, they probably go quarterback in the second round. Let's go with the offensive tackle here. All right, that's a reasonable suggestion. Chargers are on the clock here. In a lot of scenarios, they would be taking Ioane. He is off the clock here. They still need that interior offensive line help, and I think right now the best guys on the board, Chase Santos, in terms of pass protection, just being able to keep Justin Herbert upright. Like their tackles were all injured last year, but the interior of that offensive line was absolutely terrible as well. They've needed a run stopping D tackle for years. They never take one. So let's just give them that offensive lineman, keep that quarterback upright. The Eagles here on the clock. Let's see what the chat's saying. Kyle Lewis in the first round. Oh, Omar Cooper for Philly. Kyle Lewis. Yeah, Kyle Lewis in the first round would be super high. Very, very high. And if we're going off Nussmeier's dad's relationship, like Nussmeier's dad is actively coaching in New Orleans. No worries. We're in round of one. We don't know if the AJ Brown trade is a thing yet, but not a bad option. I don't hate Emmanuel McNeil Warren here either. Even Avion Terrell. No, I just started at 9. Yeah, let's. All right, you know what? We're gonna. You really think Omar Cooper Jr. kind of steps into the AJ Brown type of role? I don't know. Yeah, that's true, DeGene. Well, they brought back the tight end. They need the offensive line, and that's kind of what people feel like on this server. I kind of like Emmanuel McNeil Warren for him, to be honest. Who did they lose this year? I feel like they lost a couple players. Oh, well, they signed Tariq Woolen, Jonathan Jones, Ebiketie, Epps they brought back, Damian Pierce they signed. Just shouldn't matter too much. The guy they paid the most to was a punter. Their punter. Interesting. We got Marquise Brown in already too. Smaller wide receiver. Man, they keep having Marcus Epps play safety though. Let's see. Oh, it's gonna take a minute. All right. All right, you know what? Let's go with the wide receiver. Here's the thing is I think Boston almost makes more sense to me though. You get the bigger guy. opposite Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith's definitely smaller. Boston's way down there board, though. Got a couple corners before him. What do you guys think about Colton Hood here? I feel like Colton Hood could be an option. Loved those Georgia defenders. There aren't any of those here. Well, you get CJ Allen. Doubt that, though. Yeah, what do you guys think about Colton Hood? Yeah. Trade down is an interesting option, actually. You know what? Where the fuck is the trades here? I don't even know how to do the trades here. This site doesn't work well with trades. All right. Trading is not an option. I'm not the biggest Colton Hood fan, to be honest. I did give them Maui Noah 3. Yeah, I know, and I get that. I trading down is this particular simulator sucks for trades. It's hard to work. So I'm just gonna take the guy that I think they should take, and you know what? Let's go with Colton Hood. They need the cornerback. Colton Hood's got a lot of promise coming into a strong defensive room. So, all right. I heard this yesterday, and I thought I'd just throw this in there. Where did I hear this? I don't know, but who was it that was saying it was on podcast or something I was listening to? Like one of the national guys was saying it. That wasn't just like some random dude on his couch, but like, um, he was saying that. Oh fuck! I wish I could remember where it was. I listen to so many. Anyway, he was saying that the Cleveland quarterback competition is not as simple as people think it is. That they love that Todd Monken reportedly loves Ty Simpson, and that there's going to be a third quarterback in that room that isn't there yet. So this is a little crazy, but it's Cleveland. Cleveland does dumb shit constantly. And taking another quarterback, let alone a guy that's Cleveland already got Freeling at 6, let alone a guy that's inexperienced and so forth and gonna throw a whole bunch of just shit into the fan, would be 100% a Cleveland thing to do. Okay. And talking of Deshaun Watson as if he's coming back. I mean, God, is there anything more Cleveland to do than to take Ty Simpson and ruin his career? So anyway, I heard this yesterday. It's an interesting thought to me, and I'm gonna do it just because why not? Um, Chicago's on the clock here. I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna take Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think they need the safety. They saw both of their starting safeties leave. They did bring in Bryant from Seattle, but I think McNeil Warren here makes a lot of sense. Buffalo's on the clock here, and I kind of want to give them Omar Cooper Jr. here. I like the after the catch stuff. And I do realize that they kind of I mean they're fans like Omar Cooper Jr. here too. Yeah, let's do Omar Cooper Jr. to the Bills. Um, that was the quickest ever pick. Oh shit! Sorry, dude. I totally didn't even look at the chat for that. Do you not like Emmanuel McNeil Warren there? I feel like Lawrence is going to end up being a second round pick because I think he's kind of a DPR. Um, but I thought the safety for you guys actually was like such a no brainer pick. But I get why you think edge too. I've like because I kept taking safety for the Bears there. So Malachi Lawrence or Lomu. See, I wouldn't think the offensive line. I felt like you guys were good on the offensive line, mostly. At the very least, like not that you would want to sink a first round pick into it. Where would Lomu play with you guys? Because didn't you? Well, Trapillo got injured, but wasn't he starting and wasn't he like fine? Next time I will not speed through the Bears. You know what? Bears make a second round pick. I'm gonna say I will make sure to come back to the chat. They do make a second round pick. All right, Howie, you can make that second round pick. Sorry, dude, didn't mean to speed through that one. All right, let's get the Bills off the clock here. Omar Cooper Jr. I feel like that's a good fit there. Honestly, because of the after the catch shit, and he's like Buffalo is a terrible place to throw, and I just think like if you can hit a guy short and hope he picks up 10, 15 yards after that, great, especially there. I don't know. Denzel Boston being the top option here surprises me because I feel like Casey Concepcion fits perfectly into the 49ers offense. I've done this consistently over and over again. They'll figure out the thing with the tackle. He's not going anywhere. Nobody's trading anything worth anything for a guy that's nearly my age. Let's get Concepcion there. Houston Texans did a little bit of work to their offensive line here. Let's see if I can pull up who they've got here. Houston Texans free agency. Let's see, Spot Track, or I'm not sure how. Anyway, they brought in Braden Smith, Wyatt Teller. So, a starting guard and a starting right tackle. But they still need help in that offensive line. Like we saw, they need the OSU 6 or 7 offensive line that suck. Yeah, you're not wrong. All right. Well, listen. I can listen to the populace. All right. You guys like Caden McDonald to the Texans? I really wanted to go Caleb Lomu. But all right, Caden McDonald it is. Kansas City is back on the clock now. Just a refresher for those of you who weren't here yet. Mansour Delane went 9 to Kansas City here. Yeah. They could use the edge rushing presence. They could use a wide receiver. They could use offensive line. Constantly need offensive line depth, and they've found out their undoing every single time has been the fact that their offensive line is not healthy. And they don't seem because Jalen Moore, they signed him, and he was definitely like a shorter arm type of dude, like maybe similar type of body type as Caleb Lomu. That's what I was thinking. Lomu, too. It was exactly what I was thinking, Howie. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go Lomu for them here. Miami at 11 went with Vega Ioane, which really helps their offensive line in a big way. Now, dude, I almost want to make a dude a first round pick that has no fucking business being a first round pick. But I just like the way he would set the tone in this room. Now, Avion Terrell's an interesting option too. You've got a few interesting guys there. I think cornerback's the way you go here. There's not really a safety on the board that you would want to take in this range. Man, I want to take D'Angelo Pons for them. I just feel, man, I know it's like definitely a reach. Right? Miami definitely taking a corner. That's where I've got them with corner. Miami's got so many friggin' picks. They don't need to take him here, do they? 43. All right. Yeah, there's not a safety here. Let's see. D-line, edge. Well, they did just lose two guys in the edge room, right? Or are they working on trading the other guy? They're working on trading Bradley Chubb, right? Or did they trade him? Bradley Chubb. Okay, he's with the Buffalo Bills currently, so he's definitely traded. And who was the other edge rusher that they were well, Jalen Phillips was already a thing. Brandon Chubb, what the fuck is that? All right, let's see. I mean, basically, they get rid of everything. I mean, I think they're just taking PPA, right? Like they are not. The previous pick for Miami was Vega Ioane. Yeah, I guess, are they going to do like a man defense or zone defense in Miami? That's the question, I guess. Like, are they going to get a lot of man cover? Punching on offense anyway, pretty much, yeah. Well, this draft would help. Yeah, look, they've got to rebuild that secondary. They've really got to focus on that. All right, let's listen to the people. Give them Chris Johnson. Fucking Blake Miller still on the board here. How did he get not? What the fucking crap? Wow. 42-16. Yeah, we're taking Blake Miller. That's, I feel like I don't have to explain that a whole lot. Mostly zone. Yeah, Chris Johnson makes sense then. Chris Johnson's not a, Jesus Christ, why are my cats? Chris Johnson's not like a big man guy. Yeah, no, I think Blake Miller is a great fit here. I think if he weren't on the board, Max would make sense too. All right, let's go. Seattle's got to answer some things at running back, okay? And you could potentially do it later, but I think you could potentially do it now too. And I think Jadarian Price is a good addition there. Jets are back on the clock. Just to review their picks. At 2, they went Ruben Bain. At 16, they went Jordan Tyson. And here at 33, they've got this pick and they've got 44 as well. So with an edge, with a wide receiver already in the pocket, cornerback's probably the area they should look at. They had a terrible secondary last year. I mean, I think it was the first secondary ever without any interceptions, turnovers whatsoever. So, yeah, you know what? It's not a bad midget cornerback. Yeah, I'm going to give him Avion Terrell though. I like Terrell. I think they could like Terrell. Aaron Glenn, I feel like might feel like he could coach him up. Cardinals went Maui Noah in the first. Um, they don't need to continue on the offensive line. They do need targets for Jacoby Brissett's still throwing the ball there. So they do need targets for that. I see Denzel Boston up there. I don't hate that as a pick. Edge, quarterback, linebacker, OT. I mean, we already filled the OT. How about that edge room? So they were heavy on the defensive side of the ball last year. Now this is going to be a new coaching staff. But yeah, you know what? Let's get back-to-back Clemson players off the board to start this second round. TJ Parker goes here. Titans up on the clock. We talked in the first round about potentially giving them another wide receiver alongside whoever is getting the ball there, actually, because I mean Calvin Ridley, Eric Eymanner, Chimere Dike, none of these guys are like 1A type of guys. But let's keep this guy in state and give Cam Ward a deep, tall target, stretch the field. We already picked up the running back on the first round. We're going to really help this offense out. We're going to bring Chris Brazzell over. And that's that. The Raiders on the clock here. And I do think that they'd be interested in pairing the quarterback with his college wide receiver, Elijah Surratt. That's an interesting thought. With Max Ihanichor on the board here, man. Okay. Titans interested in Stowers. Okay, I could see that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I agree with the Surratt thing, but I could see Surratt's gotta be. This is not. I don't feel like this is falling for Surratt. I feel like this is kind of like the opening of the door for him. But yeah, I was seeing Ihanichor on the board there, and I feel like the 2026 Raiders. I just Googled it. I don't follow them super closely. They've obviously got Linderbaum at center. They've got Colton Miller at left tackle. DJ Glaze expected to start at right tackle. Got guard positions to fill. They're looking for a left guard. JPJ at right guard. DJ Glaze. DJ Glaze was ranked pretty poorly last year. All right. Yeah, I feel like Surratt's like round 2, probably round 3 is like a floor. Look, I feel like Ihanichor being on the board right now, this feels like the right range for him to go. And the Raiders need the offensive line help. They've got Colton Miller on the left. They've got Tyler Linderbaum in the center. You got a guy on the right you feel good about. You just got to plug and play some guards. Like that's doable, right? That becomes an offense that you could actually believe in. And you could keep a quarterback upright in. Like Ihanichor's the pick here. It just makes the most sense to me. The Giants in the first at 5 went with Carnell Tate. Got needs listed here at OT, which still open, cornerback, wide receiver, and a linebacker. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking linebacker here at this point in time. Like you're kind of getting your pick of what you want. What do you guys think, New York Giants here? Well, they did though. Look, this particular draft class, you kind of got to get what you got to get. It's not like I said on X the other day. Yeah, I was thinking Anthony Hill too. Like I said on X the other day, this draft is not centerpieces. This draft is puzzle pieces. Okay. You're trying to find the right puzzle piece for your team. There are no centerpieces in this draft. There's nobody in this draft that you're just going to go and get and right guard, huh? Yeah. But there's nobody in this draft that you're going to go and like build your entire team around or whatever, you know? Um, there are puzzle pieces in this draft. There's some good puzzle pieces. I like Anthony Hill too. I'm going to go with Anthony Hill here. Yeah. Right guard's not a bad idea. If I was going to go right guard, I feel like I'd go Pregnon because I feel like Pregnon's better. But I think Anthony Hill is the right pick here. That's what I'm going to go with. The Texans on the clock. I still think they need offensive line. They didn't go offensive line in the first. They went with Caden McDonald. Yeah. Give him Pregnon. I like him here. He's the first choice for fans on this site here. Makes a lot of sense. Cleveland Browns on the clock. Look, they took Ty Simpson at 24, and they took Monroe Freeling at 6. Here, I'm going to give him Denzel Boston. I'm going to have a top wide receiver, top left tackle, and quarterback come out of this draft with the first 3 picks. And look, if those guys work out, that's pretty good use of your first 3 picks. All right. Kansas City up on the clock. Kansas City went Caleb Lomu at 29, and at 9 they went Mansour Delane. I think they need edge rushing help here, and I think that you think about Zion Young here. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Yeah. I didn't even see your comment until I've got to click to a separate tab to see the comments from the draft. So I hadn't seen that yet, but I agree. We're going to go there. Great minds think alike and all that shit. Cincy went with Sonny Styles. He fell to 10 in the first round. So here in the second round, I feel like Lee Hunter would be a really good grab for them here. What do you guys think? I feel like Lee Hunter. New comments. That's what I thought. Yeah, Lee Hunter. All right, let's do Lee Hunter here. All right. New Orleans. Somebody what did you say? CJ Bell fucking what's his name? Kid out of Louisville. Wide receiver out of Louisville, Chris Bell. Yeah. That made a lot of sense to me. Let's do that here. Chris Bell, the New Orleans. I like that. I know exactly what I'm going to do here for Miami, and that's take D'Angelo Ponce. Look, Miami took Chris Johnson there, and he's fine, right? Like he's a good corner. He's going to play on the boundary. But D'Angelo Ponce is going to be the tone setter for this team. He's going to be, the dog on defense, the leader of that defense. D'Angelo Ponce is the guy here. And all right, we've got the Jets up next. They took Avion Terrell there. They took Jordan Tyson and Ruben Bain. So Ruben Bain, Jordan Tyson, Avion Terrell so far for the Jets. They've got one more pick in this 2-round mock. And yeah, I mean, I don't see CJ Allen. CJ Allen does make sense. He's the top of the board. It's just the top of their board. It's not like I'm just running down a consensus board and taking number one, or whatever. But CJ Allen makes sense to me. They need leaders on this defense. They've got Demario Davis, but he's not going to be there forever, right? He's like 40 or whatever. So I think CJ Allen makes a lot of sense to me. You learn under Demario Davis for a year, and then see they just picked up what's his name, Minka Fitzpatrick from Miami, and then they drafted a kid out of Alabama last year, Malachi Moore. They've got him at safety. I don't remember who else they've got. But yeah, I do. I just feel like that linebacker, that leader on defense, like you're trying to build that defense. Yet they invested in Jamie Sherwood. Sean Wright when you're CB. I mean, cornerback makes sense for this team too. A lot of sense for this team. Even like they took Avion Terrell already. Even with that, I wouldn't hate double dipping at cornerback. Look, they were so bad at cornerback last year. They had they oh my god, they were so bad. Let's see if there's something in free agency I'm missing. See, it's like they signed dudes all over the defense except at cornerback. They signed 3 defensive linemen, a linebacker, a safety, a cornerback, Nashawn Wright, like you said, 1 year, $3.5 million. They picked up the other safety, Minka Fitzpatrick. I almost feel like they have to double dip at corner. They're so bad at corner last year. Why wouldn't you? Like, they do have Azareye'h Thomas from last year there, right? I don't think double dipping a cornerback in the second round is a bad idea, honestly. Oh man, you got Azareye'h Thomas, Avion Terrell. You're going to need another boundary corner if you're going to play Terrell in the slot at all. You said who else is in the slot? Do Allen? You think Allen here? See, I think if they put Terrell in the slot and then they went with Keith Abney here at corner, then you have Azareye'h Thomas on one side, Keith Abney on the other, Terrell in the slot, Minka at free safety. You're going to have to pick up a strong safety probably, right? I feel like the double dip at corner isn't a bad plan. But I also like the CJ Allen pick for them. We're going to do CJ Allen. Somebody else agreed on that, and we're going to run it. All right. Baltimore ended up taking Peter Woods in the first round, right? Yeah, Peter Woods at 14. They need edge rush help. Cassius Howell falling here, that makes sense. And Akeem Mesidor also could make sense to me. If they hadn't taken Peter Woods in the first, I'd probably take Caleb Banks here. Because again, they need that help on the defensive line. Well, before they got Peter Woods anyway. With coin flip between Howell and Mesidor, who do you guys like better? Cassius for Howie and Paper. You gotta vote. They need O-line. That's a good point. They do need offensive line. Why they're not. See, I just feel like it's too early for a lot of these interior offensive line guys. Jennings Dunker, Keelan Rutledge. Ooh, how about that? Keelan Rutledge makes a lot of sense for this team. They do need guard. They signed Simpson. See, I feel like you could get a center in the third round. Whether it's Brian Parker, Slaughter, Connor Liu, you could invest in and wait on. There's a bunch of dudes at center in this class that I feel like you could get. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. What he just said. Pass rushers going. Let's do Cassius Howell here. Mike Green didn't really produce for them last year. Tampa Bay had David Bailey fall to them in the first round, right? Yeah. So they kind of got that edge that they need. They need a linebacker. They've needed a linebacker for a few years here. J Rod or Trotter? Who do you guys like for Tampa? Yeah, exactly. J Rod or Trotter? That's kind of where I was leaning to. Trotter. Yeah, let's do Trotter here. All right, Indianapolis. I kind of like that Jake Golday fit. Just seeing it pop up at the top there. Let's just run with that. I'm going to go with it quick. Golday. Indy hasn't picked yet. Um, Golday is going to be their first pick. I like that. All right, Atlanta here. I feel like they just keep Kristen Miller in Georgia. Indy does need a tall wide receiver. That's true. Um, Atlanta, Atlanta's going to keep Kristen Miller here. I think my buddy Clint Gloss would be happy with that. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. We'll ask him about that. See how he feels. Um, Minnesota in the first round went with Dylan Thieneman. The people in this simulator seem to think that they're going to continue building out that secondary, and I agree. It just makes sense. Um, I think you go corner here. And you know what? I'm going to just shout out to my buddy Matt Chabot here. All right. Matt Chabot is a big fan of this guy. He thinks he's cornerback 2 in the class. And I'm looking at this class thinking Cisse played in the South, Abney played in Arizona. Like nobody's really quite mentally prepared to go to Minnesota except Davison Igbinosin here. He played in Ohio. Going to Minnesota is a couple hours up the road. It's not that big a difference in like climate or whatever, but he's played in a lot. He's played in tough weather games and snow games and shit like that. He's a tough player. He's a good corner as long as he can keep those flags cleaned up. And I think that this really rounds out that secondary. You take the Eneman in the first, Igbinosin in the second, and man, you can kind of not worry about that secondary a lot. Detroit here, I'm going Mesidor. He's the top of the board for their fan board here. Makes a lot of sense to me. Detroit went Fano in the first, just trying to get the best 5 offensive line players on the field. And look, they're trying to win now. They want to win now. They need edge contribution. Hutchinson was practically their only guy doing anything last year. They're ready for a guy who doesn't need to develop, who can just kind of step in and do his thing. And even if Mesidor's production was based off having a superstar edge rusher on the other, opposite him, guess what he's going to have in Detroit? A superstar edge rusher opposite him. So let's go with Akeem Mesidor there. I like that. Carolina, they've needed a leader on that defense in the linebacker room for a couple of years now. I was tempted to give them CJ Allen in the first round. Instead, I gave them Kenyon Sadiq just to kind of give Bryce Young some weapons and eliminate any excuses that he might have. I'm going to go J Rod here for them. That makes a ton of sense for me. Packers on the clock. They definitely need the corner. You see the corner options here, leading the way. I kind of like Julian Neal for them out of this group, but let's let the chat make the choice here. Abney, Cisse, or Neal. Oh, you're right. They did take the free agent middle linebacker, Leo Chenal. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's a good point. You like Neal. Panthers, I'd take running back. That wouldn't have been a bad pick. If I could go back, I might do just that. Unfortunately, I cannot. That would not have been a bad pick. A running back wouldn't have been a bad pick. It's something I'll think about in the future for sure. All right. We've got a vote for Cisse and a vote for Neal. That leaves me as the tiebreaker. They did lose a left tackle, but there's just not a left tackle to take here. So there's that. I don't even know if there's like a coin kicking around. Oh, I do have a few coins in here. Hold on. All right. We're going to do this the old fashioned way. Heads for Cisse, tails for Neil. They did draft, what was it, Jordan Morgan a couple of years ago. And they drafted Anthony Belton last year in the third round. You're not wrong about the center with Jenkins, but wasn't he injured most of the time anyway? Did I say Cisse heads and Neil tails, right? All right, Cisse heads, Neil tails, heads it is. Cisse it is. All right. Steelers on the clock here. In the first round, we went with Proctor, left tackle, and I told you what I was going to do for them in the second round. I'm going to take that quarterback right there. Drew Aller to Pittsburgh. They've got a bunch of third round picks to fill in the offense and defensive needs around him. Philly on the clock in the first round. Philadelphia took Colton Hood. I do think that this is a spot where they could look to fill in that wide receiver spot. And you know what? Let's look at Paper's boy there, Elijah Surratt. I like that as a fit here for them. Yeah, let's do Surratt to them. All right. The Chargers here, they have needs at hold on, I'm looking at what they took first. What did I take? Oh, Basantis, that's right, left guard. Offensive tackle, edge, safety, and interior offensive line. We already took the interior offensive line, but they could use another. I'm not going to lie. Okay, again, that interior offensive line was terrible last year. I wouldn't be against them taking Jennings Dunker, Keelan Rutledge, Connor Lew, any of those guys. What do you guys think? Yeah, they took a guard. Yeah, Caleb Banks would be a super interesting pick for them, actually. I like that. Especially here, you're really rolling the dice, but they've needed that defensive tackle for years. And they've got the kid from Tennessee. What's the dude's name? Those guys are all trash. Well, Biatis is all right, I guess. But Cole Strange is definitely trash. Man, I could see. Yeah, exactly. Dude, I could see Rutledge here, even after Basantis. But man, I would almost want Connor Lew. That would almost be my pick because you need a good center. Lew's not even on their board here, really. That's wild. Lew's so far down the list. He just gets zero respect because that wrecked his knee. Yeah. Where is Caleb Banks? God, he's way down the board for them, huh? Goodness. All right, let's go back to the chat. Yeah, I like Akis for the Pats too. Yeah, I know Lou got an ACL. And I know Banks is hurt again. That's the only reason Banks is here right now. I'd say for that matter, it's the only reason Connor Lew's here right now, too. If Connor Lew didn't tear his ACL, he would have been probably a top 20 pick. So just like, let's all remember that, right? If he didn't tear his ACL, he wouldn't be on the board right now. He would have been taken 30 picks ago. So that's why I don't see a problem with grabbing him here. Let's do the Caleb Banks thing. Let's just splash thing in the center of the defensive line, and if he works out, man, you have a real problem there. All right, we're gonna go corner here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You never really know what's going on with Travis Hunter's situation. They need the secondary help, kind of all over the place. Derek Moore. Oh yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad choice, but it wouldn't have been great either. I also need the safety held back. Mario Ramsey's been going here to them. That's interesting. What about Mike Washington? Wow. 103 for this team. Nick Singleton would go before him for them. I wouldn't take Nick Singleton before like the 6th round personally. I don't mind Abney as a pick here. That makes sense to me. All right. Yeah, let's go Abney for them here. All right. Malachi Lawrence is your guy here, right, Howie? That's who you wanted in the first round. So I'm assuming that's who you want here. All right. There we are. Malachi Lawrence to Chicago at 57. All right, San Francisco, they want Casey Concepcion in the first round. They need the pass rush, right? I feel like Derek Moore would be a good fit here. What do you guys think? I like Derek Moore here. Yeah, Lawrence to the Bears. Yeah, let's do Derek Moore here. San Francisco 49ers fans like it. Houston has taken – they're paying the ass to see their players. All right, Caden McDonald, Emmanuel Pregnon. Oh, is that it? Yeah, Caden McDonald, Emmanuel Pregnon. Look, I think that you take that safety and you continue making a strength to strength. You make a strength into a friggin' superpower. AJ Halsey. That makes a lot of sense to me here. All right, Chicago. What do you think about you taking Connor Lew, sitting in for a year behind what's his name that you just got from us? What the fuck is his name? Bradbury. What do you think about Lew behind Bradbury for a year in Chicago? That makes a lot of sense to me. And I mean, Ben Johnson came from Detroit where they had Frank Ragnow. Like, he knows the importance of a good center. I think that really I think you guys need guard more than center, huh? And you're just like Bradbury as the centers. That's cool. Yeah, like I want to take Connor Lew for them really badly right now. And I want to do it because I think it's the best move for them here. Shit, so do the fans on this, for that matter. He's the third option behind the two edges, where Rutledge is like the 10th option. I'm gonna do it, dude. I'm sorry, Howie. I know this is your team and all that, and you can disagree if you want, but I think you take Connor Lew here. There's no pressure for him to start immediately because you've got Bradbury. He can start. He's not great, but he can start. Connor Lew heals up. He's the best center in this class. And you get him in there, and he can anchor that offensive line for years to come. And you need a good center if you want a good offensive line. Like, that's just how it works. You could shuffle guards in and out. You can have halfway decent guards. But if you want a good offensive line, like a truly good offensive line, you need a truly good center. And this is the cheapest way you're going to get one. Sometimes you got to take those guys like Linderbaum, top 25 in the draft in the first round, and then you end up seeing him walk 4 years later. Connor Liu here, you get him at 60. Don't have the pressure of starting, rushing that ACL injury back. And then you get the best center in the draft with your third pick, too. It's not even like your second pick. This is the third pick in the draft. Man, that's such a good plan. Connor Liu it is. Sorry, Howie. I know it's your guy. Wow. Such a good. Yeah, I just think that's such a good plan for them. I couldn't not do it. LA's on the clock. What did they go with in the first round here? Let me remind myself. Makai Lemon. That's right. Makai Lemon in the first round. They didn't have that second first round pick because they traded to Kansas City. This is their second overall pick in the draft here. And this is where I feel like Nussmeier could go. This is what I feel like. Nussmeier is that intellectual type of quarterback that McVay is going to love. And even if Nussmeier doesn't eventually become some like superstar long-term starter or something like that, like I just feel like he's the type of player that McVay can turn into more than he actually is. I really like Nussmeier here. So I'm going to go with that. Yeah, I think the Denver fans, I feel like, got it right here with the guards. 2 out of the top 4 options for them are guard. But tight end is also an option. So let's pull these guys up and see what you guys think. Are we going guard or are we going tight end? I'm going to leave this up to the chat. Interesting, Howie. Yeah, that makes sense to me, tight end. I thought Stowers maybe too. Michael Trigg. Makes sense. All right. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go with the tight end. Delp Trigg it is. Patriots are on the clock. I'm going to take Akers for him. I really love his fit here as a pass rusher. And oh God, I just feel like this is a super easy pick for me for Seattle. The absolute weakest point on their offensive line last year was the interior, the center, the right guard. They were both friggin' terrible last year. Kind of highlighted in the Super Bowl a bit with the just utter dominance of the interior defensive line of the Patriots. I also really like the marketing. This is stupid reason to make a pick some kind of, but look, these are businesses at the end of the day. So these things do go, these sorts of considerations do go into this, but Jennings Dunker and Gray Zabel as like the interior guards that you could market to the public is fun to me. I like the idea of the two of them on the same team. It's not like the reason I'm making the pick, but it's definitely just a bonus. Mike Washington, they went Jadarian Price in the first round. So with Jadarian Price in the first round, you're not going to go running back again. So, although I hear you, Mike Washington would make sense. But yeah, you're not wrong there. Reek Woolen, Big C, but I just think there's a number of options there. Yeah, they have seen those options like up close and personal already, right? Just coming from their area. Like, not only is there a guy like Julian Neal, but Takario Davis, Ephesians Prysock, guys like that are definitely available in their third and fourth rounds. I feel like you keep that offensive line, you fix that offensive line. That's what I feel like. I feel like you you plug that spot at the right tackle spot. Right guard. Right guard. That would be the position I'm talking about. I'm going to give him Jennings Dunker, dude. I like the fit, Dunker and Zabel on either side of the guard position. They could probably keep Sandell there at center. So, Yeah, this was the draft here. All right, so just real fast. We'll run it down it because I'm already well over an hour. But Mendoza, Bain, Maui Noah, Love, Tate, Freeling, Reese, Jermon McCoy is the first corner off the board. Mansour Delane follows quickly after that. Sonny Styles wraps up the top 10. Vega Ioane to Miami, Caleb Downs to Dallas, Makai Lemon out to the Rams, Peter Woods, David Bailey, Jordan Tyson are the next three. Spencer Fano fits somewhere along that Detroit offensive line. Dylan Thieneman, secondary to take over for uh, whatever his name is, the safety out in Minnesota right now. Harrison Smith. God, why just blanks sometimes. Anyway, Kenyon Sadiq give Carolina another weapon. Keldrick Falk at the edge for Dallas. Proctor, Basantis, Hood, and Simpson. Simpson's going to be the controversial pick of this, probably. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety for the Bears. He wanted Lawrence. They got Lawrence in the second anyway, so that worked out. Omar Cooper Jr. to Buffalo, KCC to San Francisco. Big run stuffing D tackle in the middle, Caden McDonald for Houston. And then Caleb Lomu comes off the board to Kansas City. Chris Johnson heads to Miami to be their top corner. Blake Miller, right tackle of the future and perhaps the present, to New England. And Jadarian Price to Seattle. That was the first round. The second round, run down it real fast. Avion Terrell becomes the third New York Jets pick in this draft. TJ Parker, back-to-back Clemson picks off the top of the second round. Chris Brazel to Tennessee. Max Ihenekor to Oakland. He'll become their starting right tackle pretty much right away. Anthony Hill Jr. to the Giants. Emmanuel Pregnon to Houston to continue rebuilding their offensive line. Denzel Boston becomes the Cleveland Browns' third overall pick in this draft, giving them a left tackle, a quarterback, and a top wide receiver. Zion Young heads to Kansas City, again, the third pick they've made in this draft. That gives them a corner and whatever they took in the first round. I just said 3 seconds ago, but forgot. What was it? Corner. Oh, Caleb Lomu. That. Corner Caleb Lomu and Zion Young. Lee Hunter heads to the Bengals. That's it. Really, they've done some work on the defense in this draft with Lee Hunter and Sonny Styles. Chris Bell, an investment in the future for New Orleans at the wide receiver position. D'Angelo Bonds becomes the tone setter on that Miami defense. CJ Allen, kind of the same thing with the Jets, to be honest. He'll be the leader of that defense. Learn under Mario Davis for a year. Then Cassius Howell, Josiah Trotter, Jake Golday, and Kristen Miller are the next four picks. Davison Igbinosin becomes the Minnesota Vikings' next cornerback of the future. Keem Mesidor heads to Detroit. J-Rod to Carolina. Perhaps it should have been Mike Washington Jr., who is still on the board in this particular mock, so it could have been. Would have been interesting, would have shaken things up a little bit, but J-Rod headed to Charlotte in this particular, Carolina in this particular mock. Brandon Cisse won the coin toss. He's headed to Green Bay. Drew Aller to Pittsburgh. Elijah Surratt fell to Philly, if you ask Paperwaves. If you ask me, this is about the right range for him, although it is a little bit of a fall. I've had him go 33, 34 before. Caleb Banks, the foot injury pushes him down the board to 55th. Keith Abney heads to Jacksonville. Malachi Lawrence, as I mentioned earlier, off the board to Chicago in the second round at 57. Derek Moore and AJ Halsey are the next two picks. Connor Lew to Chicago with their 60th overall pick. He will be the center of the future and heal up. Bradbury will start there while he does. Garrett Nussmeier heads out to LA where he will study under Sean McVay. Oscar Delp to Denver to give Sean Payton a versatile offensive weapon there. Gabe Akis from Illinois becomes the next edge rusher in New England. And Jennings Dunker heads to Seattle to kind of fill that hole at right guard. So that is... I wonder if that's going to give me the whole thing. Nope, just the Raiders. Anyway, that was the mock for today. We went a full 2 rounds. Again, TJ Wenger was initially Emmett Johnson grew up 5 blocks away from the Vikings stadium, and it would take him 47 minutes to run there, by the way. Um, yeah, so TJ Wenger was initially scheduled for today. We had to postpone. He and I are going to record an episode on Sunday that will air Monday. We'll do the full first round mock there and compare and contrast it to the one that we did a month ago in early March before free agency kicked off. Oh, yeah. Camera. There we go. Tomorrow, yeah, right. Tomorrow, I've got Clint Goss scheduled. You might remember him. He was on here about a month ago. Also, Georgia guy, Atlanta Falcons. Which website was what? Oh, that was the Draft Professor's website. The Draft Professor's website is good for the Fanatic mode that I've done a couple times on here, and it's good because there's less ads. Like it just doesn't have as much traffic as some of the other sites, so there are less ads. And so for me, like when I'm doing these live streaming things, my computer hates me, right? And it just drags, and sometimes you'll hear my audio like start to become garbled. Especially if I have another person on here and I'm trying to do them at the same time. So the Draft Professor's website makes it easier because there's no ads loading. There's no loading to be done once you load into the initial draft. Definitely an easier thing for me to use right now. Now, I don't plug it or anything like I used to because the owner of the site just went a little weird on me, and I just, I try to support good people in the draft community, and then sometimes people prove themselves to be, I don't know, but not the people that you were hoping they would be, I guess, is the best way to put that. But it's an interesting site, and I do like the Fanatic mode. The Fanatic mode's nifty. That kind of brings you through like however many rounds you pick, and you can't pick the same player twice. It will literally take them out of your options. So that's interesting. But with the trades, you can't do trades on that. It's just the functionality doesn't work. You saw me in there, like I was looking to do the trade for I forget if it was the Chargers or whatever, but in that early 20s range, and it's just the functionality of it just doesn't work. So it's a fairly new site. They've got some wrinkles to iron out there at very least. And yeah. So that's that. Again, Clint Goss coming tomorrow. Paper Waves in the comments here right now will be on a show here Friday morning. We're going to record that Thursday night, talk about some Patriots draft prospects, some fits for who might fit for their team and so forth. I saw him on I saw a recent episode of Foxborough Fellas, which we had one of those guys on the show a few weeks back also. So, make sure to go check out Paper Waves and Foxborough Fellas and, all those podcasts, all those guys that have come on the show throughout time and stuff. If you're not doing anything and, go check out something Newt Weston has put up, or go check out something Clint Goss has put up. Go check out, Ballin and Burgundy. That he's a good guy, like that guy. Go check out Foxborough Fellas. If you're bored and you're looking for something to listen to, you're at work, you just want something on in the background or whatever, put on one of these smaller podcasts that they put out great content. And I mean, again, if you want just background noise, like it's a point where you're actually doing someone a favor by putting in that background noise. Like I know for me, when I'm working on stuff, I almost need something to be on. And instead of having, the TV on CBS or whatever, something like I'll just throw on YouTube and I'll throw on someone's podcast. I'm not even really listening sometimes, but it's playing and they're getting the playtime. And that shit matters in the algorithm, the likes, the subscribes, all of that shit is good, but the playtime is so key. And so it's like, if you are not doing anything else, or like for me, sometimes I'll leave the house, but before I leave the house, I go and find someone's podcast. It's like an hour and a half long podcast. Boom, click, put that on, and now they're getting 90 minutes of showtime, watch time, where it's like, I'm not even there. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. If anything, I'm trying to be respectful and like whatever, and it's look, if you're ever don't have the time and you want to do the same thing to me, by all means, please. But hitting that play and like leaving that watch time helps that algorithm. It helps boost things. So just a thought and so forth. As I say all the time, guys, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Um, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think I got right. Let me know what you think I got wrong. Who went way too high? Who went way too low? What was my best pick? What was my worst pick? Um, and we'll kind of go from there. All right. I'm interested to hear from all you guys' feedback. The folks who were here live, thanks so much for being here live. You guys really make the show a lot of fun. Being able to kind of go back and forth with folks and bounce ideas and get suggestions from the chat. I don't know these teams, right? I will never know the Bears as well as Howie does. Okay. So Howie's suggestions for the Bears, gold, dude, gold. And I didn't mean to bypass your suggestion in the first round, but it's like I can't follow all 32 teams. I don't even make a draft board that's relevant to all 32 teams. I make a draft board for the Patriots. I focus so much on us that it's like I can't follow all 32. When I do these full first round mock drafts, I can't give as educated an opinion as someone like Howie could on the Bears, or as someone like John from Ballin and Burgundy could on the Commanders, or whoever might be here on the chat. So really appreciate you guys' input, and switch up number 3 and number 5 next time for fun. Wait, who did we go with 3 and 5? Well, anyway, we'll go back and look at that at another point in time. I couldn't download the whole thing, but look, have a great day, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Clint Goss on here. We're going to talk some draft prospects and pick his brain a little bit. That dude is a really, really good draft analyst and prospect analyst and so forth. Definitely tune in for that one. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate all the activity in the chat. Have a great day, guys.